Well, hello everyone. I'm so sorry that it's taken me forever to literally get on here and update you, but you know, like I said in my last video, there's been a lot going on. I've had some health stuff, and if you didn't pick up on that, I am actually pregnant with my second. So yeah, dealing with first trimester stuff has just been rough. You know, even if you've been pregnant before, there are some things that you just kind of forget, like, oh yeah, I'll be miserable for about 6 weeks. And you kind of forget that there are some little tricks to kind of help you persevere and get through like the worst days. But having the nausea and having all of like the morning sickness, and even if you're like sick in the evening, like, why can't I just throw up? I know I'll feel better. That kind of mentality. So that has happened. So and I've kind of, because of that, let some things kind of fall through the cracks a little bit. Like, I've let my garden go. It's kind of a big old mess, and my roses need some real TLC, and some other things around the property just need a little bit of assistance because I have just been too ill to get out straight into the hot sun and mowing the grass and everything. It's just, I couldn't even be outside for more than 5 minutes before I felt like I was going to throw up because of the heat. We just spent a lot of time inside, laying down, all that. I only had a few days where I physically just couldn't really get myself to get up and play with my son, which is so terrible. But that's another blessing why I have my parents so close, that they were able to come and help me. So anyway, yes, I'm pregnant. So we found out the day before Father's Day, which is such a nice little gift for my husband. But we had my very first ultrasound appointment just a couple of days ago on Tuesday. Today is Friday. So got to see the baby, and we had no idea how far along I was. When my last cycle ended, 2 weeks later, I took a pregnancy test and it was negative, and then all of a sudden I was pregnant, and we were just like, I don't know, we have no idea how far along we are. So we found out that I'm actually much further along than we had even hoped. I was hoping that we were getting close to the 10-week mark. No, I am 11 weeks and at the time 3 days. So I'm approaching my 12-week of pregnancy mark, which is crazy because I feel like I have kind of skipped over a good portion of the first trimester, which I'm a little sad about, but I'm also like, you know what? If I only had like 3 weeks of really rough time, you know, then I'll take it. I think a lot of it for me is mental and psychological, but there are a few things that I just did differently for this pregnancy so far that has made such a huge change for how even my first pregnancy went. But before I kind of explain all of that, there are a few things that I really want to try to get done today. I really need to go and look at my roses, look at my plants, and just kind of do a little bit of pruning and cleaning up. And then once my husband gets off of work today, we need to mow the lawn. It's fortunately gorgeous weather. This morning, my son has also been waking up at 5 a.m., 5:30, pretty much every day. So it's been a little bit of a struggle trying to get used to waking up before the sunrise, or at sunrise. But today was gorgeous. It was 65 degrees this morning. Amazing. And it still is quite beautiful, cool weather right now. So hopefully it kind of stays like this for the rest of the afternoon, but hopefully we can get some good work done. So yeah, let me figure out what we're going to start with first. I just had to run in real quick to make a quick little lunch for my husband and I, and of course for my son whenever he wakes up. But for the longest time, it was very hard for me to just have the energy to make dinner, or even just stomach the smell of cooking food in the house. So at the beginning of the month of right before the 4th of July, my sister-in-law came into town, and it was just so great because that's when we were able to tell her, like, surprise, you're going to be an aunt again. And we were able to finally get a grill, and that was something that has been on our must or want to get list since we finished our patio last year. So we finally have a grill, and it's been so nice, especially in those earlier weeks, because right after I told my sister-in-law that we're expecting, a few days later I was like totally immobilized, totally sick, and so they were doing majority of all of the cooking that week outside on the grill. And it's been really awesome to have just such like cast iron skillet food that's just cooked outside, which we love all this stuff. But it's been really nice to be able to tag team a little, like I said, with my parents. So on some days that I'm feeling really bad, we'll go over to my mom and dad's house for breakfast, and we'll go over for dinner, and then we'll just alternate. You know, it's really amazing. I know a lot of people are not as fortunate as us to live so close to family, but if anyone has the opportunity and you have a good relationship, I definitely would recommend, if you're having kids or you're struggling in your first trimester, take up your family's offer to help you because it really does make a difference. I'm actually going to eat my lunch outside just so I can kind of get a little head start. I'm working outdoors before my son wakes up, and he's been asleep for about an hour now. So hopefully I can actually get a good amount of stuff done. I do have quite a bit of things that has just piled up over the last couple of weeks. You know what? I'm actually really hungry, so I'm just going to quickly eat this. So last week, I guess a week and a half ago, my parents were so generous. They came over for breakfast. They noticed that my yard needed to be mowed, and so they just mowed it for me. They mowed the entire thing, and that gave me a little opportunity to take my sunflowers out. They had completely finished. They were dry and sad and droopy and breaking, and it just made the garden look a little bit of a mess. So I was able to go in there, trim it up, and harvest one of the big heads. So I planned on taking out the seeds, soaking it, drying it, baking it, and I made my very own sunflower seed for a snack. And my husband loves it. So I'm like, wow, look at me go. We're definitely will be planting more sunflowers next year. Since I'm sitting here, I figured I'd just kind of say a few things that I think what I've done differently with this pregnancy that has made a difference for me. I think one of the biggest things that I've done differently this pregnancy versus my first was that I really prioritized eating protein first thing in the morning, which sounds like such a little thing, but it wasn't something that I did for my first. Granted, I was also working full-time, and so I just sometimes wouldn't have the energy or even feel like I was hungry to eat, which is such a mistake, because I've since learned that your body, especially when you're pregnant, needs protein. It needs more protein when you're pregnant than you actually eat in a regular serving, or like a regular meal when you're not pregnant. So I would eat sweet things. I would eat Pop-Tarts or oatmeal or other things like that, and that's fine when you're just in survival mode, especially eating toast and bland things and like saltine crackers and just things that you can stomach eating. But also eggs. I've been eating eggs every single morning, about 4 eggs every single morning by myself, and that has significantly made a difference. So I'll wake up in the morning, and before I even feel hungry, because once you feel hungry, that's game over. You're past the point of no return. You are literally going to be so sick, and you're going to feel like you're going to throw up. if you don't eat something, and even if you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna throw up because I haven't eaten something, so I really need to eat something. Once you get to that point, for me, it's game over. I couldn't function for the rest of the day. I was incredibly nauseous for the rest of the day. I've also learned that having sweet things first thing in the morning spikes your glucose levels and makes your whole hormones, your levels just go on a total roller coaster, and they cannot regulate for the entire day. So by eating the protein first thing in the morning, and I also haven't been drinking coffee because it's so acidic. I haven't been having any sugar drinks in the morning, not even orange juice really. It has really helped my body just naturally regulate. Granted, yes, there are those days where I feel sick and I feel very nauseous, but I've learned that if I just eat more protein, it really, really, really does make a difference. Instead of eating all the starches, which I do eat bread, but that has made such a significant difference between my first and my second, just off the top of my head, that I just had to share because I thought that was incredibly fascinating. I'm all through eating with my lunch and this is my pink and kind of blushy white rose. It is done so well, and you can see all of these beautiful buds that have kind of gone to rot on my poor plant, but it has been thriving. And one thing that was really annoying was that my chickens liked to jump up into these big planters and do some scratching, and they get all the dirt on their little feathers and all of that stuff, but that would also cause parts of my rose limbs and branches to break. So the other one, actually this one was worse than the other one, and I was so mad. You chickens, you stop, you shoo. They never listened to me. So I ended up putting just a lot of just junk in here to keep them from actually getting in and hurting my poor rose. So, but I'm not sure if this little guy is done yet, but he is so happy. Look at all of this new growth up here, and I couldn't be happier. So I don't want to take all of that off. So another thing that kind of leads me to another update, but this is kind of a sad update. I don't have my little hens anymore. Partly because the neighbor's dog has come up onto the property a few times, and he hasn't bothered my chickens very much in the past, but he did harass them, and he would chase them around and just be an overall horrible nuisance. And one day he did kill my rooster. So once he killed my rooster, he went on a little hunt and he killed the rest. He killed 2 more of my sweet little hens, and it was very devastating, and I was so sad, especially because I couldn't find their little bodies anywhere but my rooster. But we caught some of it on camera, and we saw the dog running across our front yard, and he did have a huge bleeding scratch down his front. So my rooster really put up a really good fight before he was taken down. My poor rooster, he was so sweet too. He was getting to the point where he was letting me actually pet him, and he would come right up to me and he'd look at me, and I give him little treats out of my hand, and he wouldn't cower or run away. So that was very sad and very unfortunate, but my 3 other hens did survive. They were hiding somewhere, and so he wasn't able to find them. And the ones that survived is Waffles, Pancake, and Butters. And so they're not here on the property anymore. They have gone to live with my parents' chickens down the road, and they are thriving. They're very happy to be over there, and they have a really great rooster looking after them, and dogs to protect them as well. So it's just unfortunate that had to happen, and maybe we'll get some more in the future, but as of right now, they are going to stay with them for the foreseeable future, at least until my husband and I can actually build a really nice, proper, large run for them. And they love to free range, so until that dog gets put on a leash or gets an electric fence or something, they are probably going to have to permanently stay in a little run. That is unfortunately part of living on a farm, and you do have some free-ranging animals and livestock. This is my yellow and pink rose, and I don't know, it's kind of a toss-up between that one and this one of which one's my favorite. But they are both done so well. This one is doing really, really good. Like I said in my last video, I can't remember, honestly, it's been so long. My family and we were able to go on a little weekend trip, which was so fun. We went to Chattanooga for like 2 days, and it was so much fun because we have never ever done a weekend trip before, partly because it's a little bit of a drive. It's about a 3-hour drive to get down to Chattanooga from where I live, and it's not a horrible drive. It's just I have a toddler, and he is so incredibly busy that he does not like being in his car seat for more than 20 minutes. So it was definitely a little bit of okay, how are we going to do this? How are we going to keep him entertained for an entire road trip down there? And you know what? Somehow God was with us. Not somehow, but he was with us, and it just worked out great. We were able to entertain him. He didn't really fuss very much at all, which was really such a blessing. And I think it was maybe at that point when I first got pregnant. That was in June. So yeah, I must have been pregnant. So yeah, it was very exciting. But also, part of the reason why we went on this little trip is because we were struggling getting pregnant again. And I was getting so discouraged for such a long time because I really wanted to have another baby and be pregnant and start growing our family again, which, if you know me, you know that my personality before I became a mom was very much like, I don't want to be a mom. I don't want to be pregnant, and this is crazy. This is a crazy talking, crazy world, and this is so not me. It's who I am now. I love being a mom, and I've really wanted to have a growing family. And so we were trying basically since my son turned, like 13 months. And it just wasn't happening, and I was so sad. I was so discouraged. And at that point, I was kind of like, I was, crying out to God and just asking for, like, please be with us. Please, like, let it be your will and your timing. And as soon as we found out after the Chattanooga trip and looking after my parents' property while they were out of town to Europe for 2 weeks, there's just a lot going on. And so when we found out we were pregnant, it was very much this is such perfect timing. So that was really amazing. But anyway, going back to Chattanooga, we had such a great time. There were really cool museums. Of course, we took my son to the aquarium, and it was just precious. He loved seeing those giant fish, and he can just smash his face up against the glass and and just like look at the fish, and it was just so stinking cute and adorable. And then we went to the big children's museum down there that he loved, and yeah, we just had a really great time as a family. So if you're ever in the Chattanooga area, they've got a lot of family-friendly stuff. They've got a big IMAX theater. My son is still too little for that, but the children's museum
was amazing. I know I don't have anything to harvest right now, but before I go ahead and do a good soak and a good water, I do need to do some deadheading here. So let's just take a look. Oh, this is my huge spaghetti squash. It is looking so good. I've actually got a really big green squash right there coming up, and I have several little blooms and flowers coming, which is so good. But I do think I need to cut back this zinnia and cut off some of the diseased leaves, I think. And I can just add more to my vase inside the house. But look at just how beautiful this is turning out.
There's my spaghetti squash, and it has definitely gone crazy. My poor little bed is so crowded, but these flowers are just amazing. Look at all this diseased zinnia right here. So I'm going to cut back quite a bit to also let room for this squash to kind of grow and survive a little bit more. And I desperately need a good water on everything, a good soak. But my zinnias are just fabulous. I've got so many hummingbirds, and look, I've even got a big butterfly right over there. I just love having these flowers. Oh, and this is my this is my lettuce. I accidentally kind of forgot about it. And it has gone to flower, which is great because I can take these seeds and we can plant them maybe for next year. This garden has definitely opened my eyes to what I want to plant for next year and what I absolutely do not want to plant. You just have to go through trial and error for your very first garden, and this is my very first garden, and I have to say I was very ambitious, but I'm very happy with the results for the most part. I'm just going to cut it all the way back because it all just looks kind of bad. I'm actually very proud of myself because I never had a green thumb, but here I am. I have a big garden. There we go. I have hummingbirds here, which is so much fun. They show up at around 7 a.m. Well, it's still cool, but the sun is out. The birds come out at 7 a.m. too. So it's just really fun. And all my butterflies. I want more butterflies over here. So we're going to plant a big butterfly bush. And I also want to plant something that can really attract lightning bugs, because they are unfortunately going extinct, which I didn't know that. It is so sad. I have so many memories growing up having so many lightning bugs all over. But something about being out here, I don't know if it was because it's too shady or what the deal is, but we just don't have very many lightning bugs at all over here on my property, but my parents do. They have a really nice amount of lightning bugs. So I want to plant some flowers in here that really attracts the lightning bugs. Time to say goodbye to my lettuce. I don't know if I'm going to grow any lettuce. It was fun. It was great to have when we were harvesting it in the spring, but we just don't really eat lettuce as much as we probably should. But there are other vegetables that we actually enjoy a lot more. And I think part of the problem why I was unsuccessful partly is because of my soil in the beds. I think there is just way too much clay in there, and so
they just weren't able, like my carrots, my potatoes, and a few other of my plants, they just weren't able to really get in there and get themselves deeply established and all of that. So unfortunately, that is just something that we're probably not going to do next year. But we do think that where my tomatoes are over on the side of the house, it's going to be my kitchen garden. And that was always the spot that I wanted to put my garden in my mind's eye. I just thought it was just so perfect. It's right there next to the house. It can also, half of that space could be another big flower garden. And it's just so convenient. It's right there. There's a hose that's close by. So that is going to be, I think, where we're going to do our kitchen garden with our vegetables and things like that that we use regularly and eat regularly. So, but yes, this area, if it still exists, will definitely be an amazing flower garden. We love seeing all of the flowers from the back door and the kitchen windows, and where we have our breakfast in the morning and seeing the butterflies and the birds and the hummingbirds. It's so quaint and picturesque and exactly what we were dreaming for.
Once in a while I dream. Once in a while I think of you. I reminisce on days gone by.
As a new gardener, I really am in awe of so much, like how thick these little stalks for my sunflower seeds were and how tall they were. So when my parents were here and they were able to mow my lawn for me, like I said, I was able to do some cleaning up in here. I'll just show you how enormous they really were. I was standing here in the bed and they were still, I don't know, maybe it's just the new gardener in me, but I'm just truly in awe of so much growth and how tall some plants can get. And to be honest, my cucumbers have been struggling since the very beginning. I don't think they were a very healthy batch of cucumbers anyway, so I might just take those out. But I may leave this little trellis here because the birds like to sit on it. So, I don't know, maybe we'll put it somewhere. But I think I just need to clean up this little garden right here to prepare it for the autumn.
Sad how the feelings go away. We were in love, but now it's over. So once in a while I dream.
Decide if my cucumbers are going to be worth saving, because they are actually looking quite bad. I think I'm just going to trim off, actually there's some growth there. I'm going to trim off the really bad leaves.
But now it's over. So once in a while I dream.
I think that's enough. I think that's enough being outside today. So, or at least for now, I gotta go in and I gotta cool myself off. Here's the damage, and there goes my water. It's been a couple of hours since my son has woken up from his nap. I'm so proud of him. He was absolutely exhausted. He slept for 2.5 hours, which is kind of crazy that he slept that long by himself. I didn't have to go in there and help him at all. So my husband got off of work about 30 minutes ago, which meant that he decided to take my son out on a little play date. So they're out running some errands and going to go play somewhere. And this is my time to go ahead and mow the lawn. So I have my ice water.
I have a little brownie that I'm going to bring with me just to kind of munch on if I get a little bit low blood sugar or whatever. But yes, I'm gonna go mow now. Okay, look at how cute my stickers are. I've never been a sticker girl. I don't typically like adding graffiti to things, but I love this one. Hot girls have grandma hobbies. I got my teacup, my flowers, and my garden boot, a hat, jelly, a bow, and bread, of course. So I have a party in the back, business in the front. So not only is this time to mow, some quiet time for myself, but I also get to listen to some audiobooks, or I don't really listen to music so much anymore, mostly because any music I listen to, it's always my son's music. So I'll pop my AirPods in, I'll put my muffs on, and then I'll just listen to an audiobook and just kind of zone out. And it's kind of relaxing when you just want to I can't watch my own TV show, but you know, this is all right. I've just showered and finished mowing the lawn. I feel so much better after getting all that grass and insects and stuff off of me. But I am very happy with how it looks. And I only ran out of gas right at the very, very end of getting the job done. So that's pretty great. I feel very accomplished today. So for dinner, we're just going to be doing leftover chili because we have so much of it. I just want to say thank you so much for hanging out with me today as I just kind of catch up on some chores and try to get some things accomplished for the upcoming week ahead. So I'm just gonna go ahead and end it here. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week, and we're going to be getting back into making some more fun content, especially next week. So now that I am feeling so much better. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.